Hello there! Jason here with another review. Today is the video you've all been waiting for. That's right, I'm talking about Star Wars: The Acolyte. But before I get started, I will be talking spoilers, so if you haven't watched The Acolyte yet and you don't want it spoiled for you, stop the video, go to Disney Plus, check it out, and come on back and we can talk about it. But now that we're past the spoiler warning, let's dive in, shall we? So as you all very much know, I am a huge Star Wars fan. Some of the stuff is a bit hit and miss, but overall, I do really enjoy it. Star Wars is Star Wars. Anytime new Star Wars comes out, I get really excited. And I got my hopes really high for The Acolyte because it just looked really cool. And I just could not wait to see it. And when I watched it, I gotta say, I thought it was pretty good. Now, I know there's a lot of discourse surrounding the show, and for now, I'm just going to put all that aside and just share my genuine thoughts and opinions on this show. From episode 1, I was very intrigued. When they killed Carrie-Anne Moss off in the very beginning, my jaw hit the floor, but that sort of bait and switch is nothing new to film and television. I mean, it happened with Game of Thrones and Sean Bean. Using a big name and then having them just killed off in the first 10 minutes is not a shock to me. It made for a more interesting show because it really showed you no one was safe. No character death was off limits. And boy, did this show really rack up a body count. A lot of the aesthetics really reminded me of the prequel era and just kind of brought me back to those days. And even with some of the performances and some of the writing choices really kind of also reminded me of the prequels, both in a good way and in a bad way. But in that respect, it really felt like Star Wars to me. Oh, the action sequences, the lightsaber battles were fantastic. And I mean that most sincerely, especially when it comes to Khmer, the stranger. That whole battle with him and all those Jedi in the forest was just amazing. And the final battle between him and Saul at the end was just also really cool. A lot of the performances in this show are pretty hit and miss, but two of the performances that really anchored this show were Amanda Steinberg and Lee Young-jae. Lee Young-jae, when I found out that he had only learned English 4 months before filming this show, I was just astonished because you could not tell. And even with that language barrier, he still delivers a very solemn and heartfelt performance. He is a terrific actor and really shines in this show. And Amanda Steinberg playing two characters, I mean, she's just incredible because she gets to play them each in their own way. And, you know, it's just these two performances really anchor the show and it really works. And just the dichotomy and the connection between all of these characters, just really amazing and also really tragic considering how the events of the ending play out with Osha killing Saul and, you know, giving into her anger and her rage. It just was both unexpected, but exactly where you knew this character was going to go. Oh man, and there are so many Easter eggs and just connections within this show to bridge it not only to the prequels, but to the originals and even the sequels and beyond. And it's just really cool, from Khmer's helmet that looks very much like Kylo Ren's, and the fact that it's made of cortosis, a metal that disrupts lightsabers that was introduced in the old expanded universe that was finally brought into canon and live action with this series. And then of course you've got the that brief cameo with Darth Plagueis in the finale, as well as Yoda. All these other connections that just really ground this into the universe of Star Wars. I know there's this whole thing about breaking canon with Ki-Adi-Mundi, and my whole thing with that as a fan of Star Wars is, well, Disney's been breaking their own canon from having Kanan's involvement in Order 66 being one way in the Kanan graphic novel, and another way in the Bad Batch series, or even having Ahsoka's involvement in Order 66 playing out one way in the Ahsoka novel and a completely different way in this series finale of the Clone Wars, as well as how she got her lightsabers with the encounter of that Inquisitor in the Ahsoka novel, and then of course differently in Tales of the Jedi. So where I used to just nitpick and just go after those sort of issues, and they used to drive me crazy, now I've just kind of like let it go. It is what it is. It's Star Wars, and I really enjoy it. I'm not going to let certain things weigh that down. Also, the story in this show is pretty interesting. I mean, some of it feels like a bit of fluff, but the important details really do hammer in a lot of interesting points, just like the beginnings of the fall of the Jedi. And that's really what this series is. And the fact that it has that kind of solemn, very dark ending with the Jedi covering things up yet again, and Osha turning completely to the dark side and joining Khmer. I thought it was a really bold choice. Now, ending it on a cliffhanger, a big, massive cliffhanger, was a bit disappointing considering there's no promise of a second season, but ending it on a very sour note is really the way to go for this show. Overall, I really enjoyed The Acolyte. Some of it's kind of hit and miss. Some of the performances are a little touch and go, and the action is just great. It does feel like Star Wars. It really feels like it fits in with the prequels, but also helps to pave a path forward for the originals and beyond. And it's just, it works so well. I know people have had their issues with the show, and it's been very divisive, but for me, it's a huge win. I really enjoyed it. I hope there's more. I can't wait to see more if there is, but only time will tell. But that is just my opinion. Let me know what you thought of The Acolyte down in the comments. I want to hear from you. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click that like button. You want to see more videos, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you get updates on all my future videos. You can also follow my social media pages. Links down in the description of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And until next time, may the Force be with you. Bye.